The ocean race has begun. Five teams have battled against the toughest of conditions. Through the rough seas from Alicante to Cabo Verde. Now they face the test of the doldrums and have Cape Town in their sights. After a safe arrival for all five teams in Cabo Verde, it's straight back to work. A brutal first leg saw most of the teams suffer significant damage to their boats, and every waking minute is spent working on repairs and making sure the boats are ready to go for leg two. With race rules designating this as a pit stop, all repairs need to be made on the boat, and only by crew members who competed in leg one.
Given the nature of leg one was pretty brutal, we have a very long job list. It's a concern because I'm taking the winches apart and conscious that I'm really tired from the leg, and you make a mistake in this and you can kill someone, you know?
With the boats patched up as much as possible, it's time for the teams to head back out on the water. The first leg saw Holcim-PRB take first place, and they were followed closely by 11th Hour Racing Team and Team Militia. In fourth place was Biotherm with Guio Environment Team Europe in last place after a very difficult start to their race. There are two changes of skippers for leg two. Co-skipper Robert Stanjek takes over from Benjamin Dutro, and Will Harris comes in for the injured Boris Herman.
Yeah, really excited to be here and to get away with leg two. Obviously in slightly different circumstances than expected without Boris, but I'm looking forward to the challenge and taking on the responsibility, and let's see what result we can pull out the bag. But I've been really confident with the team, and I think we've got some really good potential to do well in this race.
We need to rest sailors for the big leg three to get the full punch there, and also later on in the European leg we're gonna rotate a little bit, so at a certain time you need to start.
And it's Guio Environment Team Europe coming into the shot as we look down the line, but that's a good start for Robert Stanjek.
Now, are you happy with the angle? Still more men. Let's go. We need to go.
Leg two gets underway here in Cabo Verde. Closer to shore, it's 11th Hour Racing Team, ranked first at the moment. Biotherm in second. Guio Environment Team Europe in third place. Team Militia and Team Holcim-PRB further out to the west.
Leg two sees the boat set off from the West African island of Cabo Verde and head south towards the notorious doldrums, where navigating through sections of low wind speeds could prove crucial to who comes out on top. After that, the teams will likely travel west, away from their destination, in the hope of finding the strongest winds to eventually take them on a route southeast. With plenty of opportunities for tactical battles, this leg is going to be all about patience and who can hold their nerve on the 4,600 nautical miles or 8,520 kilometers to Cape Town. The first few days of racing see Biotherm in the lead as they take a route to the west along with 11th Hour Racing Team and Holcim-PRB. Guio Environment Team Europe stay further east, a potentially risky decision as it could mean they hit the worst of the doldrums. Meanwhile, Team Militia struggle a long way to the north behind the rest of the teams.
Right now we're probably not far from 100 miles behind the first place boat. 3 days into the race, that's not somewhere we really want to be at the moment. Yeah, it's been a tough few days.
Biotherm 11th Hour Racing Team and Holcim-PRB continue to take a more westerly route, which means more miles, but hopefully a kinder crossing of the doldrums. Tactics become all important, and the teams are constantly monitoring their rivals' positions before deciding their next move.
We are playing, but I think we are going in the zone where nothing.
I mean, we could do half an hour that way, and if no one follows us, come back.
I'm a bit afraid that we are sucked by the wind zone. It's exactly the question between the strategy and the tactic. Strategy is about the wind, so strategically I think we should jibe. Is it too risky or not? We'll see. The future only will know.
Kevin Escoffier is right to be concerned, as navigating the next section of the race could be key to who arrives first into Cape Town. The area around the equator, known by sailors as the doldrums, is where the northeast and southeast trade winds converge. When combined with the hot weather conditions, the air tends to circulate upwards, resulting in very low wind speeds on the water. Progress can be extremely slow. But if one of the teams can make gains in the doldrums, it could give them a huge advantage in the rest of the leg.
Yeah, now we're very much in the thick of the doldrums. In fact, not a bad night though. Well, I've been sleeping. Things have been happening, which is always nice. I think Charlie and Gigi have been doing a good job of just working this. We've got a bit of northerly pressure again. We're just working our way downwind, so nice to still be moving in spite of things getting trickier.
The racing might not be quite as fast and furious as the teams are used to, but it does make for a more serene experience on the boats. It's very slow going, but one team bucked the trend. Guyot Environment Team Europe's rogue strategy of taking a route to the east seems to be paying off as they make steady progress.
We are first, we lead with 7 miles. That's really great. We are like first.
Right, so we just crossed the equator. A little cheers to Neptune. There you go, buddy.
I hope Neptune's wreaking havoc on the other boats right now.
Tradition dictates that sailors pay tribute to Neptune as they cross the equator from northern to southern hemispheres. And for the team members who are crossing for the first time, an initiation ceremony takes place.
Great job, Neptune. Thank you.
With the teams on their way out of the doldrums, things look encouraging for Guyot Environment Team Europe, with their gamble on the east looking to have paid off. However, it seems that they won't quite escape the doldrums unscathed.
We got stuck on a huge cloud with a lot of rain cells and no wind, a lot of wind from the north. So basically our lead melted away and we are still not going. We have two knots now of breeze. It's it's very frustrating. We worked a lot. A very, very stressful night, only going backwards.
While Robert Stanjek's team struggle in the tough weather conditions and see their lead begin to disappear, the teams on the more westerly route are well and truly out of the doldrums and enjoy stronger winds and sunny weather conditions. They take the opportunity to do some all-important sustainability work.
Every single boat has a different buoy, and they all get dropped at different places. And what they do is they collect data for NOAA that go into the climate model and some of the weather models. And basically they measure salinity and sea surface temperature, and they have a drogue and they measure the drift in the ocean currents. And we go to places that a lot of other people don't go. So it's a really unique opportunity for us to help the scientific community with data. So it's something that we're happy to do because at the end of the day, we use the results of that data not only on board with some of the weather stuff, but I think, in the larger fight against climate change that we're all engaged in.
Deploy.
Back on board Guyot Environment Team Europe, there's another setback to deal with, and just as they look to be making some progress, they suffer some dramatic damage to their spinnaker.
60 knots, normal conditions, so it just ripped from the top completely to the foot, and we had to stop the boat. It was a good crisis management by the crew. We collected everything out of the water, took a while. Deployed the A3, maybe half an hour later we were back on the angle, and, but we lost the sail, which we were supposed to use for the next 2-3 days.
Okay, one.
Destroy the spinnaker now.
After the damage done, not only do the team see their lead go completely, they now begin to lag behind the rest of the fleet. There's a long way to go to Cape Town, but there's work to be done for them to catch up. There is a far more positive mood on board Team Milizia. It's taken several days, but from last place, they've worked their way back into the front pack.
10 days ago, we were 200 miles behind, and now we just cross in front within a mile. It's magical. Goes so fast. It's super cool. Super happy to see it like this. Day number 11. Woo!
In the ocean race, you're never too far from trouble though, and they discover a fishing net wrapped around their foil. Skipper Will Harris takes on the tricky and dangerous job of removing it on the go to make sure it doesn't hinder their progress. With around 2,000 miles to Cape Town and unpredictable weather conditions, there's no clear leader, with the front four boats separated by as little as 20 miles at times. Unfortunately for last place Guyot Environment Team Europe, things are going from bad to worse. First, they have to patch up a hole in their Code Zero, a job well done, and then they look to be making good progress again, until this happens.
The flow just fell out of the sky because we had the fail on the lock. So the whole thing went into the water, and it took us a long time to recover the flow because we didn't want to lose the sail. Now it's all on board, and now the wind dropped again, and we're sailing under A3. At the moment it's 20 knots of wind speed, so finally good sailing again.
All of this means Guyot Environment Team Europe find themselves more than 300 miles behind a fleet as the boats begin their journey east towards Cape Town. Although their experience hasn't been quite as challenging, Biotherm's race hasn't exactly gone to plan either. And as they head south towards the ice exclusion zone, they find themselves in fourth place with over 200 miles between them and the leaders. However, it's more good news for Team Milizia, who have extended their lead at the front of the race. But with lighter winds expected, Will Harris certainly isn't letting his team get complacent.
You know, I really want to try and win it. Really want to try and, pull a good result out of the bag. This weather conditions doesn't mean we're giving up. It means that it's just going to make it much tougher to stay in the lead.
The predicted weather conditions make it likely that the leading three teams will have to jive further south, away from their destination, in order to catch the strongest winds towards Cape Town and avoid the risk of parking up. But it's a question of when to make that move and keeping a close eye on the other teams.
What looked like a relatively simple race down to the ice gates kind of got a little bit more confusing with the latest weather model. Basically, there's a big high blocking our path into Cape Town right now. You've got to kind of probably decide quite early now whether you're going to try and go around the top route or on the bottom route. So yeah, the next few hours will be interesting just to see what everybody's thinking, what everybody does. I guess the prudent thing to do in these situations when it's so unclear is stay close to the fleet, race the fleet, and whichever option everybody takes, then try and win that. But yeah, we'll see what plays out really.
Eventually, it's Team Milizia who make the first move. They jibe and head south, further away from the finish line and behind 11th hour, giving up their lead in the hope it will give them the speed they need into Cape Town. They even give up a 60-mile advantage over third place Holcim-PRB. 11th hour decides to follow Milizia, heading south and taking up position behind Holcim-PRB, who are the only team to hold their course. Not choosing to follow the other boats is a potentially bold move, and only time will tell whether it proves to be the right one. For the moment, Team Malizia's move looks to have paid off, and Will Harris's team cruise back into first place on a more southern trajectory than their rivals. One thing is for certain, it's going to be a very close run to the finish line.
I've done routines for all boats, but you know, always by curiosity it's nice to know, and we are all finishing in 10 minutes. What kind of sport are we doing, you know? When we do 20 days at sea, you push for every meter, and at the end everything is decided by the weather forecast. So we know sailing is like that.
At this point, the weather truly begins to dictate the race and provides the chasing teams of Biotherm and Guyot Environment Team Europe a chance to catch up.
Today it's probably the fastest day, but after will be slow. We hope to reduce the distance with the leaders. Probably we will use other strategy because they left open the possibility to go straight to the finish line. So we will try.
Paul Mayaz's tactical decision to take a more direct route to the finish proves to be the right one. And in a 24-hour period, his team closed up a gap of over 100 miles to the leader to just 20 and put themselves right back in contention for the race. As the teams approach Cape Town, Biotherm's gains make them the closest rivals to Holcim-PRB and 11th Hour Racing Team, while Team Malizia, who had so recently looked like the favourites, dropped back, having taken a route further east than their rivals. It's still incredibly close, and with less than a day of racing left, there's only 10 miles between the front four boats. Conditions are light, and any wrong move will cost teams dearly.
Early hours of the morning now, and as the teams work hard through the night, it looks like 11th Hour Racing Team might have just got their nose out in front, with Team Malizia just slipping back into second place.
Okay, we're in the game.
Quite an extraordinary story developing here, as Paul Mayer's Biotherm, who just a couple of days ago were 200 miles behind the pack, now lead the race with less than 60 miles to go to Cape Town. It's Team Malizia who now take the lead again. Will their decision to have taken a route further east pay off?
Ça va?
Biotherm back in the lead, but this could not be closer. It's just 2 miles between the first four teams here. It's Team Holcim-PRB back in the lead for the first time in over 24 hours. Can they hold their position to the finish line?
C'est bon, c'est fait. Bravo. Enjoy. Thanks. Yeah, you too.
After 6 changes in the lead in the last 24 hours of racing, it's Holcim-PRB who crossed the line first and make it 2 wins from 2.
It was impossible to tell who will win. Boats coming back from 200 miles behind. The scenario, you know, for you on shore, I think it's perfect. We are a bit tired. We've been working very hard, a lot of maneuvers in order to get this leeward position and to catch the wind along the Cape Town coast. You know, the race is long, I know it. And I think we are part of the favorite for sure, but we are working very well on the water, good mood, so proud of the crew, and looking forward to start the leg 3.
The real success story of the race is Biotherm. Having come from so far behind, the combination of the favourable weather conditions and their decision not to follow the rest of the fleet means they arrive in Cape Town just 16 minutes behind Holcim-PRB.
Today it was quite tricky. At the end, we are a bit lucky to be in front 11, and Holcim it could be 11 first, but the race is so long, and so it will be like that, I think, during all the legs. So yeah, that's a good point. A really good point is it's good on the boat, it's good on board, we have good speed, and we have good competitors, and so that's perfect for the storytelling.
9 minutes behind Biotherm is a disappointed Charlie Enright and 11th Hour Racing Team.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a tough race, certainly. I feel like we sailed the boat well. I think we were going fast. We made good decisions. It came down to the weather in the end, and that happens sometimes. We've been on the other side of it too, for sure. It's kind of part of the sport,
A little over 40 minutes later come Team Milizia, who had led so much of the race.
Very emotional, I'd say. We started super slow, and we really struggled to get going, and I found that a bit tough. And then we kind of found our legs as we were going, and we got faster and faster. And the last few days we were leading the race, which we were so happy about. And unfortunately, didn't quite play our way at the end. But I'm looking forward to the next leg so much.
For Guyot Environment Team Europe, it's last place for the second time running.
It was 18 days of full pushing. When we crossed the doldrums first and we had a cool lead, I was like, oh, that's a long leg, keeping that concentration. And the crew pushed hard, so I'm very happy actually. We learned a lot, and I think we're gonna make a huge step for the next leg.
An incredibly close finish sees Holcim-PRB over the line first, with Biotherm just behind them and 11th Hour Racing Team in third. Fourth place goes to Team Milizia, and Guyot Environment Team Europe once again find themselves in last place. All of this means that Holcim-PRB extend their lead in the overall standings to 10 points, with 11th Hour Racing Team in second, Biotherm in third, Team Milizia in fourth, and Guyot Environment Team Europe in fifth. For the teams weary from a long time at sea, the first thing will be rest, but thoughts turn quickly to the trip to Brazil and the prospect of the longest leg in the history of the ocean race.
This leg is worth double points, as it should be. It's going to be the hardest leg by far.
You go somewhere, there is nobody racing in that part of the world. There is even nobody living there.
You're kind of open to all sorts of risk. Each time you're on deck, you feel the wind and the waves a lot more in your face, and you feel like you're much more remote.
It's not easy to sleep, it's not easy to eat, it's not easy to go in the toilet, to do all what you can do in the normal life.
You're with a constant tension in the body because the impacts from nose diving, accelerations, slamming in the waves. If this is going to happen for 30 days, I don't know how you will handle that.
So the race has a different feel when it gets the other side of Cape Horn, and that's the next stop for us. We're putting everything into it because it's no joke.
2 legs completed, but the ocean race is only getting tougher. The Southern Ocean awaits.